Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.
Good morning everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, good morning. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 2nd August 2021. Yesterday's the Hindu analysis, you will receive the recorded video. Okay, so today we will continue with the 2nd August. Let us see which are the important articles. You can see here we have enumerated them relevant to mains examination as well as prelims examination. First of all, let us take overview of all these articles. Editorial page, page number 6, some important articles. A cycle of low growth, higher inflation. So the context of this article, it is talking about the arguments that some of the economists have towards Indian economy, that economy should be left on itself, it will recover by itself and there is no need of any intervention through monetary or fiscal policy. And the writer is giving some counter arguments to this particular argument by some economist. Okay, so we have to understand the different situations that during the after World War I that happened resulting into Great Depression, all these are discussed here. So we have to take input from GS3 paper economy aspect. Okay, then the draw of space and nuclear technology. So this context of this article, it is talking about the advantages and disadvantages of nuclear technology, risk and challenges associated with that, and recent initiatives in the private sector, how the company that is established by Bill Gates for, we can say, demonstration of fast breeder reactors technology. So we have to understand how it is significant for developing countries like India and China also. So and the risk associated, challenges associated with such kind of nuclear technology and its application. Very important for science and technology, GS3 paper. Already UPSC has asked question about nuclear technology. It may be asked again here. Next, for prelims examination, Punjab paddy farmers taking new technique. So this is important because this direct seeding technology for the rice. So this is very helpful for reducing the amount of water requirements, manual labor requirements. So from geography, environment and science perspective, this is good technology here. Next, Pakistan finalizes bill to grant new status to Gilgit-Baltistan. So from geography mapping section, it is important. Already last year UPSC asked this question about glacier, Siachen glacier and its location. So Ladakh has been in news in last 1 year continuously for that LAC tension, the tensions along LAC between India and China. So for that reason, surely the geographical aspects of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh region becomes important for us. Then clinical trials of Ashwagandha soon. So this is also good development in terms of, let's say, traditional medicine of India. Ayush Ministry has made tie-up with one of the institute in London for Ashwagandha trials. Those who have the severe COVID-19 diseases, their recovery, faster recovery could be possible through the use of Ashwagandha traditional medicine here. Next, India, China establish hotline in North Sikkim. So from the miscellaneous aspect, some of the important knowledge, information you should be having. As we are having the conflict going on between India and China, the de-escalation and disengagement process is continuously going on. So some of the peace measures like this establishment of hotlines. So this is helpful either directly for prelims examination or indirectly you can use the in mains examination also. Finally, practice prelims MCQs on this current affairs. Okay, so first article, cycle of low growth, higher inflation. So some of the economists have this argument that our economy, which is presently facing the stagnant or lower economic growth rates, it should be left on itself because economic cycle works in this way. Okay, when there is recession, then after that there is economic boom, then there is stagnancy, then again there is recession. Okay, so this is economic cycle. recession, then there is increase in growth, we will say that this is economic boom period, then there is stagnancy, plateau period, and then there is again we can say recession, right? So this is continuous cycle, economic cycle, and therefore the present stagnancy, or if it we are calling it recession, ultimately it will get result into economic growth in future. However, the writer is giving some counter argument, and it is saying that there is requirement of intervention by the government as well as RBI through some monetary measures. Okay, let us understand that those arguments. First of all, yes, those who have given this argument are comparing with this situation with the Great Depression during, we can say, 1928, 1929, 1930s at that time. So at that time also, after World War I, all the Western countries, they faced this Great Depression, economic depression, and because of that there was very low demand and low economic growth rate. However, this situation is different than the present situation. This is explained by the writer in the first part here, the low demand. Okay, so yes, at present there is low aggregate demand in the economy, but the writer is saying that at that time the low demand was automatically, let's say later on, covered by high demand created due to Second World War. Okay, so from that we have to understand that at present there is no incentive to create demand here. There is no incentive to create demand, and therefore there is need of external interventions in the economy to generate demand, and so as to fuel this economic cycle. Okay, so first aspect at present is whatever the low demand we have in the economy, ultimately the aggregate demand will not be increasing by itself in near future. Rather, the government through various measures should bring in some intervention and fuel this economic cycle through increasing demand. Second aspect is high inflation. Now, the high inflation and the stagnant growth. High inflation and stagnant growth. This is actually antithetical to each other. How they are antithetical to each other? Let us understand that. Whenever there is stagnant growth or recession going on, and simultaneously if there is high inflation, high prices, general prices of goods and services, then it becomes very difficult for the government as well as central bank to have the external intervention. What will happen? Suppose there is monetary policy intervention and suppose interest rates are brought down. Okay, if suppose the interest rates are brought down, what will happen because of that? There will be increase in the money supply in the economy, and because of that there will be further liquidity and inflationary pressures, that is high inflation. Already if there is high inflation, that will be major problem. So that's why whenever there is high inflation, monetary policy or the central bank RBI is not able to reduce the interest rates. Okay, so we have to understand that this is antithetical to each other, right? So therefore we have the presently in India there is high inflation. At present there is high inflation as well as stagnant growth, and for that matter the writer is saying that the structural issues in our economy should be solved first, and then automatically the inflation will come down and there will be more avenues for economic growth. Structural issues, like we can say that the land acquisition issue is there, delay in land acquisition due to some political social issues, then delay in environmental clearances to some of the economic projects, infrastructure projects, that is also creating the problem. Along with that, we can also talk about labor laws, labor reforms, and then we can also talk about tax reforms. Major areas of the structural reforms, and when we have some reforms in these areas, automatically there will be more investment in the economy, automatically it will generate more demand, and the cycle of the economic growth will be regaining its pace. Okay, so structural issues should be solved. Along with this, at present the high inflation, one of the reason is that high fuel prices. So high fuel prices, but we can understand that the prices of petrol and diesel have been decontrolled by the government, and they are now at the rate of, or we can say they are flexible according to the demand and supply dynamics of the market. Okay, however, we have to also understand that there is very high levels of government taxes on the fuels, and there is scope to reduce these taxes so as to reduce some amount of, let's say, these fuel prices. This will help increase the consumer, we can say that the consumer expenditure, and automatically that will create the demand. Okay, so these two aspects related to high inflation we have to understand here. The external interventions, then yes, the high fuel prices we have understood now. Now high interest rates, the next important point here is, it is talking about the high interest rates by RBI. Okay, now high interest rates to control inflation, as there is high inflation going on. So there is monetary policy committee, and it has the mandate of having the inflation, retail inflation within the range of 2 to 6%, right? 4% plus minus 2%, and therefore it cannot reduce the interest rates, and it has to maintain the higher interest to reduce the inflations that are there at present. Okay, so this is actually the binding force for the monetary policy. We have to also understand that these higher interest rates are antithetical to economic growth. How? First of all, you should understand, when there is high interest rates, there will be low credit creation or lending. That means there will be low investment in the economy, investment and expenditure, and this is we can say that the problem at present. Because of lack of investment in the economy, there is less demand, and therefore the economy is becoming more and more stagnant. Okay, so in this manner you should understand what are the factors that are, let's say, resulting into low economic growth at present in India, and how government and RBI, to some extent RBI has, let's say, limitations, but how the government, through its own investment in infrastructure projects and reducing or overcoming the structural issues in the economy, can boost the economy. Okay, so for example, the question, Indian economy is at vicious cycle of low growth and higher inflation unless policy action ensures higher demand and growth. Policy actions focused on fiscal policy, we can say, and to some extent monetary policy also. Okay, any question regarding this article? Okay, yes, moving on. Next article, draw of space and nuclear technologies. Yes, the article, though it mentions in the heading it is about space, but the article is not completely about space. The article focuses on nuclear technology. It has the context of recent private sector initiatives in space and nuclear technology, like Amazon company had launched the space company, and recently successfully traveled into the space. So space sector is gaining the boost by the private sector, but the writer in this article is talking about nuclear technology. the present and future of nuclear energy, opportunities and challenges. So such kind of essay topic also can be there, or in GS3 paper we can expect question from the nuclear technology, science and technology part. Okay, let us understand the basics like advantages and disadvantages. In advantages or positives, this is mentioned in NCERT also. So briefly we can understand. First thing is, it is clean source of technology or source of energy, cleaner source of energy. Second, we can say that low maintenance cost, right? So clean, non harmful to the environment, low maintenance cost is there. These are the positives. Sorry, yes.
High efficient.
Okay, yes, highly efficient, we can say that, creates less amount of waste which is harmful for the nature. So highly efficient is there, and we can say it is sustainable also. It is sustainable also because the fuel, it can be used for the long period of time. Now in negatives, or we can say risk, first of all you should understand that the nuclear waste that is generated at the last of the reaction, so how this nuclear waste is to be disposed, that becomes the problem here, disposal of nuclear waste. Second is high installation costs, technology is costly, installation cost is very high. The third, we can say that the risk of proliferation, the appropriate word, risk of proliferation to the antisocial elements. So that becomes the risk here, they can be used by the terrorist or antisocial elements, right? So these are the negatives or the risk associated. You can write down any other point also, but advantages, disadvantages, three points you can write here. Now let us understand the present situation. Okay, so present situation is that there is huge scope and opportunity for nuclear energy to be harnessed. First of all, there is some kind of pressure for the cleaner energy to be adopted. Why? Because there is increasing environment pollution from the fossil fuels like coal based thermal power plants, right? So because of that, there is increasing pressure to move towards cleaner fuel. Cleaner fuels, so focus is on renewable energy like solar, wind and also nuclear energy, but there are some limitations for harnessing solar, wind and other renewable energy sources. Okay, and we can say at the commercial level, but at the commercial level, more cleaner fuel, nuclear technology is having some good prospects. Okay, however, we have to understand that there was one incident in 2011, Fukushima Daiichi accident in Japan. Okay, and how this has resulted into the nuclear radiations, harmful nuclear radiations outside that nuclear power plant. So this has had created some kind of negative impact on nuclear energy development all around the world, like countries like Germany, France and some of the Scandinavian countries, they completely, let's say, tried to phase out nuclear energy and shift towards other renewable energies. Okay, and there was some pressure on use of these such nuclear let's say technologies because there were concerns about safety. Okay, or we will say safety concerns of nuclear reactor. For example, even in India, whenever we see the proposal by the government to establish nuclear power plant, there are protests by, let's say, environmental activists and other activists in different parts of the country. The example is Jaitapur in Maharashtra, Kudamkulam protests, right? So basically the safety concerns are the major aspect here, and the people are not taken into let's say in the trust. The people do not trust in the nuclear technology at present, and therefore this remains the major area of concern now. Okay. However, after 10 years of completion of this incident, now the nuclear energy and its development is gaining more traction all around the world. Like countries like Germany, Italy, France, they are trying to move again towards increasing amount of nuclear energy in their own country. Okay. At the same time, the private sector, like recently the Bill Gates had established one initiative, new company, and this private sector is collaborating with different state governments in USA to have this fast breeder reactors, FBRs. So they are demonstrating this technology, and these FBRs going to be the future. These FBRs going to be the future. So fast breeder technology is also part of India's 3-stage nuclear program. Can you tell me what is this nuclear 3-stage program? We can expect question here in mains examination. Basics. Anyone? At present, where we are in which stage of this nuclear program? See, first of all, you should understand in these 3 stages, heavy water reactors and pressurized heavy water reactors using uranium as the fuel. This was the first stage, and we have successfully completed this stage. All around India, whatever the nuclear power plants we have, they are in this stage. Okay, this technology. The second is FBR technology, fast breeder reactors. So this is going to be the second stage. At present, the prototype FBR reactor has been let's say in place. However, it has not gone critical, and such kind of FBRs are to be established in India in the second phase. Okay. Fast breeder reactor. Breeder means basically it is breeding the fuel. Whatever the fuel it is taking in, what the outcome is basically going to be the more fuel, and that further outcome, the kind of let's say output that is going to be generated from that reaction, further for the third stage that is going to be used. Here from the FBRs, plutonium is actually the result of the reaction. Plutonium is the result of the reaction, and that plutonium plus thorium in the third stage is going to be the fuel. So thorium based reactors, this is going to be third stage in India. Why thorium based? Because India is having sufficiently large amount of thorium reserves in the country. Okay, though we can understand comparatively uranium we do not have, and that's why we largely import uranium sources as a fuel. However, thorium is sufficiently available, and that's why we want to move towards this third stage. This is actually the 3-stage program that we have in the nuclear 3-stage program in India. Okay, so that's why this is going to be beneficial for India, this initiative by Bill Gates company. In future, India may have tie-up with this company if it is successfully demonstrated, at the same time if it is cost effective. Okay, and the safety concerns are addressed. So India as well as China is also demonstrating this fast breeder reactor technology, and therefore in future these two countries are energy thirsty countries. To ensure the energy security of these countries will try to move towards or focus on nuclear technology. We can understand that along with nuclear technology, the present government of India is also trying to harness other renewable energy sources like solar energy, wind energy. Hydropower is also categorized as now renewable energy. So the focus largely on the solar energy, but yes, surely there are some limitations in the solar energy, and simultaneously in future we can expect the focus on nuclear technology, nuclear energy also. Fine. So simple questions, straightforward questions are being asked in GS3 paper, largely like what are the advantages of nuclear energy, discuss the challenges associated with use of nuclear energy. Fine. So in this manner you can expect the question in GS3 paper. Any question here? Now next article, it is talking about the new technique that is being used by the Punjab farmers, for paddy farmers. What is this new technique? Direct seeding of rice, DSR, direct seeding of rice. It is also called tarvattar, good soil moisture, okay, locally known as tarvattar. Fine. So what happens in this technology? Pre-sowing irrigation is applied in leveled field and primed seed is sown immediately. Okay, so here pre-sowing irrigation is applied to the leveled field, that means zero tillage is there. Okay, so use of machine is reduced, first thing. Second thing, we have to understand the rice technology, that is transplantation technology traditionally used. Okay, so that is now shifted to the new technology, that is direct seeding of rice. This requires low amount of manual labor. At the same time, the irrigation water frequency of irrigation is also reduced. Third thing you should understand, use of machinery is reduced because the land preparation is minimum in this technology. Fourth aspect you should understand, the weeding that is required is also reduced, the amount of weeding that is required. And lastly, we should also understand it is cost effective for the farmers, as all these aspects, input cost is reducing. Basically last year when there was COVID-19 pandemic and the lockdown was imposed, the migrant laborers from Bihar and UP which were working in the farms of Punjab and Haryana, they returned back to homes, and Punjab farmers faced this problem of crunch of labor, manual labor, and some of the farmers then shifted to this technology, and it is being helpful and cost effective to the farmers. Okay, so you should be aware about the situation in the agriculture sector. Direct seeding of rice, we can expect question in prelims examination also. This is environmental friendly technology, and UPSC in prelims examination is continuously every year asking which of the following is eco-friendly farming technologies. Okay, so you should be aware about this technology, direct seeding of rice. Fine. Okay. Next, Pak finalizes bill to grant new status to Gilgit-Baltistan. Okay, so let us understand the region, location. Gilgit-Baltistan, at present India consider this part, Gilgit-Baltistan, as a part of Ladakh Union Territory, that is separately created after reorganization of Jammu and Kashmir in 2019. Okay, last year there was question in prelims examination, location of Siachen glacier. They were asking the options like it is located to the east of or west of Gilgit, east of Aksai Chin, right. So such kind of, let's say, statements were there in the options. So you should be aware Gilgit is located on the western side of Baltistan. At present it is controlled by the Pakistan. The region is controlled by the Pakistan. However, we should understand India clearly mentions that it is India's part, and therefore it conveyed the Pakistan that entire union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh, including areas of Gilgit-Baltistan, are integral part of India by the virtue of its fully legal and irrevocable accession. So this is the stand always taken by India, though we can understand that Gilgit-Baltistan region. So this is from geography aspect, you should understand that Indus river flows into the Gilgit-Baltistan region like this. Okay, Indus river, and in across the Indus River in Gilgit-Baltistan region, there is Daimar Basha Dam is being built by Pakistan with the investment by China. Okay, Daimar Basha. Fine. So you should be remembering these names. They can be asked in the prelims examination. At the same time, you should be aware about CPEC corridor that passes through this region, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, as a part of China's BRI project, Belt and Road Initiative. Fine? Okay. Now, clinical trials of Ashwagandha soon. So, recently there was collaboration between India and UK. So, All India Institute of Ayurveda, an autonomous body of Ministry of Ayush, and the Institute, London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine had signed the Memorandum of Understanding to conduct clinical trials on Ashwagandha on 2000 participants in 3 UK cities. This is to check the faster recoveries of those who have been infected with the COVID-19 virus, COVID-19 disease. Now, Ashwagandha is the traditional medicine. From time to time, it is being used in India to boost the, we can say, immune system, at the same time reduces stress and boost energy. Okay, so it is also called as Indian winter cherry. Okay, so such kind of question can be asked in prelims, like Indian winter cherry, sometimes referred in general, is the Indian medicinal plant. Which of the following Indian medicinal plant? So you should be aware: Ashwagandha, Withania somnifera, scientific name. Okay, it looks like this one. That's why it is called as Indian winter cherry. Basically, it is evergreen shrub. Fine. Okay. India-China established hotline in North Sikkim. The location is Kongra La in North Sikkim. Location is Kongra La in North Sikkim. So, North Sikkim or Sikkim shares border with Tibet region of China on the northern side. On its western side, it shares border with Nepal. On eastern side, it shares border with Bhutan. Right? So, you should be aware about India's borders also, location wise. Yes, what should be answer to this question?
So option B, listed fertilization.
Yes, good. So, yes, which of the following is not advantage of direct seeding of rice method or technique? Yes, we have just understood it requires less or we can say amount of water through irrigation, less cost involved, input cost, less labor requirements. However, it is not, let's say, about the fertilizer requirement. More or less the amount of fertilizers remains the same here. Okay, we can say that the other aspects are correct here. These are the advantages, but not this one. So answer should be D here. Fine. Okay. So these were important articles. Any question? Okay then, let us stop. We will meet tomorrow at the same time. Thank you.
Contact us to avail the combo offer of General Studies and Public Administration optional with 20% discount.